You know, our immune system is this incredibly complex, multi-layered defense network. It's kind of like a fortress, right? It's got countless soldiers, barriers, and communication lines. But what if I told you this entire fortress, with all its power, has a single point to failure? One critical spot that, if you hit it just right, could bring the whole thing crashing down. So what is it? What's this one weak link in our body's otherwise brilliant defense system? Well, the answer isn't some big structure or a physical barrier. Nope. It's a single type of cell. And here it is. Meet the CD4 cell, also known as a helper T cell. This right here, this unassuming little white blood cell, is the absolute linchpin of our most sophisticated defenses. It's not the strongest fighter, not by a long shot, but it's the most important coordinator. You gotta think of it less like a soldier and more like a general. Okay, so let's really dive into that whole military command analogy, because honestly, it's the perfect way to explain what the CD4 cell does. If our immune system is an army, then the CD4 cell is its supreme commander. See, a CD4 cell doesn't get its hands dirty. As the commander, its job is to issue orders. It's the one that tells B cells, hey, start making antibodies, now. It activates the killer T cells to go seek and destroy our own infected cells. And it calls in the cleanup crew, the macrophages, to just devour all the bad guys. Without these orders, the most powerful soldiers in our body are just standing around with no idea what to do. Now, to really appreciate the commander's role, we need to understand the army that it's commanding. Our body really has 3 different lines of defense, and each one has a totally different strategy. First up, you've got the innate system. It's super fast, it's immediate, but it's not specific at all. It basically just attacks anything that looks foreign. But then you have the adaptive system. It's a bit slower to get going, but it is highly specific, targeting unique enemies. And, this is the crucial part, it has memory. This is where the real war is won, and this is the system that our CD4 commander is in charge of. And here you can see the whole picture. You've got the innate, the adaptive, and the passive systems. But just look at the key cells for the adaptive system. You have B cells, CD8 T cells, and right there, smack in the middle, the CD4 T cell. It's the one that coordinates all the others. It is the central hub for our most intelligent and long-lasting defense. So, let's say you're a virus, and you're trying to defeat this incredible system. What do? I mean, you could try to fight the whole army, the macrophages, the B cells, the killer T cells, or you could just take out the commander. And that right there is the precise, devastating strategy of HIV. So here's the absolute key to all of this. HIV's power doesn't come from brute force. It comes from specialization. It is a highly evolved assassin with one single target in its sights, the CD4 cell. By ignoring all the soldiers and going straight for the leadership, it can neutralize the entire adaptive immune response. It's brilliant in a terrifying way. And here's exactly how that attack unfolds. First, the virus binds to these specific receptors on the surface of a CD4 cell. It's like a key fitting a very specific lock. Once it's attached, it injects its genetic material inside. Then it hijacks the cell's own machinery to make thousands of copies of itself. And in the final, brutal step, the host CD4 cell is destroyed as all those new viruses burst out to find new commanders to infect. So what happens then? What are the real consequences of this targeted assassination campaign? What happens to an army when its commander falls? Well, the result is a total breakdown in the chain of command. The most advanced, most intelligent part of our immune system is just rendered useless. It's a state of strategic paralysis. All the soldiers are ready, the weapons are there, but the orders, they just never arrive. So what this means in practice is that the B cells are never told to make antibodies. The cytotoxic T cells are never activated to go hunt down infected cells. The entire coordinated, specific, memory-based defense system grinds to a halt. And this leaves the body wide open to what we call opportunistic infections. These are common bacteria and viruses that a healthy immune system would normally just brush off without a problem. And this collapse at the cellular level, well, it leads to a very real clinical progression. It's one that doctors can actually measure by literally counting how many commanders are left on the battlefield. So, in a healthy person, your CD4 count is typically somewhere between 500 and 1,500 cells per cubic millimeter of blood. That's our baseline, a fully staffed command center ready to go. After an HIV infection, that number starts a slow but steady decline. It can take years, but the virus is just relentlessly eliminating CD4 cells one by one, gradually dismantling the immune system's leadership until it reaches a critical point. And that critical point is a CD4 count below 200. When you get to this stage, the immune system is considered critically compromised. This is the diagnostic threshold for acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, or as we all know it, AIDS. A count this low means the body is virtually defenseless against those opportunistic infections we were just talking about. Things like a very specific type of pneumonia or a cancer called Kaposi sarcoma can suddenly take hold because there are simply not enough CD4 commanders left to organize any kind of defense against them. So really, it all comes down to this simple, devastating chain of events. The CD4 cells are the commanders of our adaptive immunity. HIV destroys them. That causes the entire adaptive immunity to collapse, and that leads to the opportunistic infections that define the clinical state we call AIDS. It's an incredibly effective strategy. And this really brings us to our final thought. Understanding this single point of failure is exactly why treatments like antiretroviral therapy, which stop the virus from making copies of itself, are so critical. They're designed to protect the commander at all costs. But it leaves us with a fascinating question. If your enemy's entire strategy is to target your leadership, how do you design a defense that can still function when the commander is gone?